Okay, hello again, and welcome to another class. And yes, another move-wise, delicious class. And here today we're gonna work on starting to freeing the spine. This is part one of freeing the spine. And let's start by laying down on your back and make yourself comfortable. Um, See if you're really comfortable and see how you rest on your back. Which parts of you are heavy on the floor? Which part is heavier on the floor? Is it in the pelvis? Is it in the legs? Is it in the upper back? Or maybe the head? So just sense also what kind of contact you have with the floor. What's the quality of the contact? Can you feel if you are resting and lying against the floor, or you're rather really resting and kind of dropping into the floor, feeling how the floor is carrying you, basically. And this is going to evolve as we go through the exploration today. So let's go from your feet. I want you, first, before we go there, I want you to draw a line from the tip of your nose down the middle of your chin, down the middle of your chest, down towards your belly button, past your belly button in the middle of your pelvic bone, and all the way down in between your feet. So you're drawing a line along the middle of yourself, so you can have a sense of right side, left side. And because we are going to be comparing sides as a reference to see where we are at and how the situation is evolving. So let's put the attention on the feet, and let's say we start with the right foot and how you rest your right foot in the floor, your heel, which part of the heel, the direction of the foot. Can you sense your 5 toes, the top of the foot, the heel of the foot on your right side, and then you go up your right leg. The foot is connecting to the leg through the ankle. So get a sense of the ankle, feel the ankle, and then you go up your leg to the knee and feel the direction of the knee and how it's connected to the direction of the toes of your foot. Then from the knee, you go up your upper leg and all the way into your pelvis, and sense where your leg connects to your pelvis in the hip joint. Get that feeling there. Okay. And then you can do the same on the other side with the left foot, where on the heel it's resting on the floor, the direction of the foot, sensing your 5 toes. And then how the foot connects through the ankle to the leg, lower leg, and from there to the knee, the direction of the knee in relation to the direction of the foot, and then up your leg all the way up into your pelvis. And that connection with your pelvis the leg connecting to the pelvis. And the pelvis are these big, strong bones that are connected in the back with the sacrum, and they go around your organs in the front and come together in the pubic bone. And these big bones are there to protect your guts, your reproductive system, part of the digestive system, and they are very important. So in the back, they're connecting in the sacrum, which is the base of the spine. Okay, so from there, I want you to sense, go up your spine and sense the shape of your spine. So in the lower back, there's like an arch. And then when you go up, the spine goes all the way down to the floor, and some of the vertebrae are in contact with the floor, in between your ribs, in between your shoulder blades. And these ribs, they are like a basket, and they're also protecting very important organs, which are the lungs, the heart, the upper part of the digestive system, and they connect in the front with the sternum. It's like a basket. It's a basket because it's flexible. And then on top of that, you have the shoulder girdle with the clavicles in the front and the shoulder blades in the back. Part of the shoulder blade are in contact with the floor. So see again here what's the difference between the right side and the left side. What's the distance between the right shoulder and the floor compared to the left shoulder and the floor. And from those shoulders, the arms are going down, down and to the elbows, and from the elbows down to the wrists, and from the wrists into the hands and fingers. So I want you also to be aware of that connection. The hand through the wrist, go up the arm, through the elbow, into the shoulder. And that shoulder has the shoulder plate in the back. And that shoulder plate is like a hand that is resting on the ribs. So I kind of wanted you to have that feeling because it's going to be very helpful when we explore the movements. And if we go back to the spine, you can go in the back of your neck and get a sense of that other arch in the back of your neck and how you're resting the head on the floor and how your jaw is heavy. Your head is heavy, your jaw is heavy, your tongue is heavy. And listen to your breathing, just listening, just connecting to the breathing and sensing the flow, that wave of the breath. So now you have an image, an idea of yourself, and you are going to turn onto your favorite side. So you decide which side you want to turn to. And be sure, you can rest your head on your arm. And if it's uncomfortable, you can rest your head on a folded towel. That's the best way. Basically, you want your head be in alignment with the spine and be able to roll if necessary, be able to move, okay? And then your knees are bent in a straight angle. So in a straight angle to your trunk, in a straight angle to your lower legs. It's all about straight angles, okay? So bring your knees in more in front of you. Yes, and good. And if you need something in between your knees, but because it doesn't feel good to have the knees against each other, please take care of that too. You can put a little pillow there or another folded towel. Okay, and listen to your breathing in this position. And also feel the floor. Where do you feel the floor when you're on your side? Which ribs? Which part of your pelvis? How's your breathing flowing? Is your head heavy on the floor, really resting? So you can have your neck loose, your jaw loose, your tongue loose. Okay, and now, and your upper hand is in front of your heart somewhere with the fingers pointing towards your head, I mean towards the upper side of you. And in a way that you don't have to make an effort to hold your arm, okay? Just rest your arm in a comfortable way. And we're going to start by focusing on your upper knee, your upper leg, and you're going to very gently. So here, I want you to go from the intention into the action. So the intention is I want to slide my upper knee forward a little bit and come back to neutral. So if I have the intention before going into action, I can become aware of how do I start that movement? How do I organize myself to slide gently, slowly, fluidly my knee forward and back to neutral. And as I slide the knee forward, I can exhale. And when I slide back to neutral, inhale. So at the rhythm of your breath, find the flow, find the flow. If the movement is a little bit jumpy, which happens a lot, you just go back to neutral and you start again slower, smaller and slower. It's very important to start very subtle because that's how your brain is going to connect through the nervous system with all of you. So you're sliding your knee forward as you exhale, and then you come back to neutral. And you feel how that is having your pelvis roll a little bit forward and back to neutral. And the idea is to make it flowing, less effort, see how you can organize that movement so it's effortless. Where can you do less? Where can you let go? To slide your knee forward and back to neutral. This is a very simple movement. And feel what's happening in your spine when you do that. You are rolling your pelvis forward a little bit, but just the lower part of your spine, right? The upper part is the shoulder is not moving. It's just the knee sliding forward and taking the upper part of your pelvis with it. Yes. And back to neutral. Wonderful. So let's make a pause there. And now you're going to extend your arm, your upper arm in front of you. In front of you, yes, gently. And remember the hand is connected to the arm that is connected to the shoulder blade. And here the shoulder blade is really going to be a hand, like a hand that is holding your ribs. Huh? So same, slide your hand forward as you exhale, gently. Doesn't have to be a big movement. It's about the quality, finding the quality, and you come back. So you slide forward gently, slowly, finding the highest quality, meaning where can I let go? How can I let it flow? Am I holding somewhere in my neck, in my jaw, in my head? Is my hand tense? Where can I let go of the effort? And as you slide your hand forward and back, sense on the side of the floor, sense your rib basket. The rib basket is flexible. How's the rib basket adapting to that movement? It's like you're rolling around your rib basket. But it's also a little bit of a twisting because your knees are together, so the pelvis is not really rolling. It's only the upper part. So the basket needs to adapt to that movement. And as you exhale, see how much you can let go to just enjoy the flow, enjoy the release, and how much you can sense the twisting, the subtle twisting in your upper spine. How far down can you send the twisting? And how far up can you send the twisting? Is your head also rolling onto your nose? Is your neck loose? And letting your head just go like a newborn baby. It's really about feeling like a newborn baby, and you are being rocked. Rocking. Yes. And you can feel against the floor, those ribs are molding into the movement. Beautiful. So next time you're in the neutral, you can pause for a moment. Sense your breathing. How is your breathing flowing? And now at the rhythm of your breath, you're going to slide both your knee and your hand at the same time. So it's the same amount also. You're going forward with your knee and your hands. So do it as small as it's needed so that it's the same amount that you slide your knee forward and your hand forward at the same time. And basically you're going to be rolling around your trunk like a barrel. At the rhythm of your breath, rolling forward with the exhalation and back to neutral. And now that you have that feeling of that flow, I want you to observe when you roll forward, is the shoulder and the hip joint coming closer? And when you come back to neutral, they're going away from each other? Or maybe not? Just check if there's also a movement in the horizontal where the hip joint and the shoulder come closer when you exhale and you go forward, compared to when you inhale and you go back to neutral. Sliding the knee and the hand the same amount. So the rolling is really a rolling around a barrel with the breath and with the neck loose and the head heavy. You're like a baby, but you're also the adult taking care of the child. Rocking that child and making that child feel so good. And next time you're in the neutral position, roll onto your back. Let's take a break. Roll onto your back and extend everything. And think about that middle lane so that you can compare left and right. And this is just the first part of the exploration. See how that affects and makes difference between the right side and the left side. Which side feels maybe more expanded or wider or longer or more alive or more like dropping into the floor. So we're going to do all the exploration on one side so you get to have this possibility of comparing before and after, and then we'll do the whole thing on the other side. No worries. Okay, so let's go back, roll back onto the same side. And so your knees are at the right angle with your trunk and your legs. Your head is comfortably resting on your arm or a towel. And we're just going to check to remember the feeling and slide the knee a couple of times forward and back to neutral, just to remember the feeling in the pelvis, the feeling in the lower part of the spine, and like that twisting that was starting from the lower part. So checking the pelvis, rolling forward and back to neutral a couple of times, just to remember. And then you can pause that. Leave your knees one on top of the other one and slide your hand a couple of times just to remember what was the feeling in your rib basket. That hand that is the shoulder plate is holding your ribs and bringing you, rolling you. It's a hand that is rolling you, taking the ribs, the upper ribs, and bring them forward and back to neutral. And feel how that neck is loose like the baby's, and the head is just following, gently following the movement. Just to remember that feeling. And then we pause in the neutral position. And now you are going to bring that same arm, you're going to slide backward, meaning your shoulder is going to go backward. So you can go from the perspective of the shoulder, bringing your shoulder backward, and the arm is following just a little bit. The knees stay together, and back to neutral. So you can go from the perspective of the shoulder that is going from neutral to backward, back to neutral, and it's just a small movement, so your brain can go inside that spine, that rib basket. You can also go from your hand, sliding backward, and therefore pushing your arm that is straight, pushing your arm into the shoulder and the shoulder backward. So you have two perspectives here. So you're only doing the neutral to backward right now to sense how that is traveling down your spine. I would say down and up into your head. And what is going on with that basket, that rib basket? Feel that rib basket, flexible rib basket. And next time you go backward, back to neutral, and slide forward. So we are building up on the movement and come back. So you can go backward at the rhythm of your breathing, of your breath. Exhale when you go forward and let go. See what you can let go. Make that baby so safe that it's gonna drop in your arms. You're rolling, rocking that baby in a way that makes him feel so safe. That it's just about surrendering to the pleasant sensations. And your knees are staying together. So again, it doesn't have to be a big movement. The smaller you do it, the more you're gonna go deep and release things along your spine. You know, all these little things that we hold along the spine? Yes, those little things are very subtle. So if you just move a millimeter, like you're twisting your spine vertebra, one vertebra next to the other is twisting a little bit, twisting back and forth, twisting back and forth. It's dissolving all these subtle, deep little holdings. And because you exhale, you allow that to go. And because you inhale, you bring oxygen to those spaces in between your vertebrae, in those little holdings. Everything is loose. Where can I do less effort? Where am I holding some part of myself that I don't need to hold because this is a safe place. I'm lying down. It's like the floor is carrying you. And next time you're in neutral, just pause there. Let's pause for a moment. See if you need to reorganize yourself, and also just listen to your breath. See how your breath is moving you or moving in you freely. The flow of your breath. Where is it going? Where is the inhalation going? How is it moving you? Where is it moving you? And now we are going to do the same with the pelvis. So you can slide your knee forward like you were doing. Come back to neutral. So here the shoulder is staying in one place, right? In neutral. And the knee is sliding forward. So how can I organize that? And again, small is good. 1 inch is good. When you do the smallest thing, you're talking to your brain. You're explaining your brain. Okay, so here, this is my intention. This is where I want to go. Help me organize that movement so it's easy. Where can I let go some holdings so it can happen? And then you come back to neutral, and then you're going to keep going backward. So your hip joint is basically moving forward, back to neutral, and then backward, right? So you can imagine that your knee, you pull in from your knee, and then you push in with your knee into the hip joint and bringing the upper side of the pelvis backward. Sometimes a change of perspective can make a movement clearer. And how can I do that in a pleasant way? Where am I expanding when I do that? When you go backward with your upper side of the pelvis, where do you feel the expansion? Where do you feel the expansion, and you can bring your inhalation in there? Where do you feel the twisting? From this from the sacrum, how much of the twisting is traveling up your spine? Okay, so let's pause there. And let's just go roll onto your back, like go backward with your pelvis, go backward with your shoulder, bring yourself all the way onto your back effortlessly. So again, you can get a sense of what's going on. Right side, left side. which side is breathing bigger? Which side feels longer or wider or closer to the floor? Or maybe just the quality of the contact with the floor is different. And your shoulder blades, the distance between your right shoulder and the floor compared to the left shoulder and the floor. Things like that. Are you breathing more on one side? Are you feeling longer on one side or shorter? Or more alive? The floor gives you a feedback from outside, but then you have your sensations, your inner sensations that are giving you feedback from inside. Okay, so bend your knees and bring your feet to standing. And now bring your right hand onto your heart. No, lay down on the floor, sorry. I'm just, you bend your knees and you stand your feet under your knees. So lay down on the floor on your back. Lay down on your back, sorry. Yes, there you go. And then you bring your right hand onto your heart. And you're going to start sliding that right hand towards, oh, the other arm is extended to the side, sorry, like in a cross. And you're going to bring your right hand towards the left one. And as you do so, your knees are going to fall to the side too. So your right hand is reaching for the other hand, and your knees are just falling, 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 falling. So you're rolling onto your side effortlessly. Okay, so now you make yourself comfortable there on your side, same side, with your knees in a square angle, right? Okay. And now just a couple of times, slide both your knees and hands forward, back to neutral, and then backward. Just go with the flow. You're rolling, just roll what we were doing before. You slide your hand forward and your knee forward, then you come back to neutral and you go a little bit backward. Not all the way onto your back. It's just to do the rolling around the barrel again at the rhythm of your breathing to remember what the feeling is like. So you do both at the same time, a couple of times. And I'm going to tell you the story so you can do it at your own rhythm and with your own curiosity. So a couple of times you do both at the same times. And then you stop one side. Let's say your knees don't move and you just do the upper part a couple of times. Forward, backward, and always back to neutral. To remember the feeling of the twisting, to remember the feeling of that rib basket. And then you can stop the upper part, like pause the upper part and do only the lower part. And see how you're twisting, but you're twisting now from the lower part of the spine and how different that is. Sliding forward, sliding backward, only from one end. If you do in the pelvis, the shoulder is not moving. If you do in the shoulder, the pelvis is not moving. So you become aware, and you can try a couple of times one way, a couple of times the other way. Just out of curiosity. Those two things are twisting your spine. So when you twist from the shoulder, how far down do you feel it? How's your head flow going with the flow? And when you do it from the lower part, how far up you feel that twisting? And see if the how far down the spine connects with the how far up. When you do the shoulder, you twist and you feel it down the spine to a certain point. When you do from the pelvis, you feel it from going up the spine to a certain point. Is that the same place when you are twisting from the upper part and twisting from the lower part? Do they meet somewhere? Those twistings? And see, feel, sense how this is bringing freedom into your pelvis. Freedom. It's releasing also holdings in your basket. And that rib basket is becoming more and more malleable. Mm. And with the twisting, you're also expanding. You kind of, expanding in your spine, expanding in your trunk. How can you do less effort? Where are you still doing an effort that maybe you don't need to do? Because you're laying down, so you don't have to deal with gravity too much, like when you're standing. So it's easier to move effortlessly. And it's just about, using gravity to your advantage. Maybe if you think about your connection with the floor, like if you're sliding your knee forward and backward, what's going on the side of the floor, on the other side of the pelvis, with the other hip joint against the floor? Can you use that? Can you make the movement from that side? From that side, it's like what's activated is the side on the floor. You're rolling your pelvis back and forth. So the knee, the upper side is going to move forward and backward more effortlessly or with less effort. It's again a matter of finding the perspective that makes it easier for you. What I love about these explorations is that you can relate to this in everyday life. If I think about what I want to do from different perspective, it maybe becomes easier. It gives me some clues on how to organize myself. Okay, so let's pause in neutral just for a minute. Just for a minute. And now I want you to just imagine, in your imagination, you are organizing this next part of the movement, which is if you go forward with your shoulder, hand, you're going backward with the pelvis. And when you go forward with the pelvis, you're going backward with the shoulder. So you can think knee going forward, hand going backwards, sliding, opposite. That's one perspective. And then you can shift to the perspective of shoulder and hip joint. They're going opposite. So in order to go opposite, it's more expansion. How can I expand? Grow longer. Where do I expand? Yes. Expansion is a way to do something with no effort. In this society, we go to the gym, we do all these things where we're asked to use our muscles and contract, contract, contract. How about we change that, and instead of contracting to make an effort to go against something, we just expand, bring more of ourselves into the picture, and move into action, because that action is growth, means growing, expanding more of our self. And in doing so, you realize, oh, I love what I'm doing. It feels so good. It gives me energy because I'm expanding. So I'm inhaling that oxygen and making room in between the ribs, making room in between the vertebrae, releasing. Just looking at it feels good. Yes. And the more I release, the more I can expand. That's also amazing. The less effort I make, the more I let go of holdings, the more I can expand. It's a win-win. And you go at your own pace, and whenever you need a break, just roll onto your back effortlessly and feel the floor and connect with the floor. And we rest from these explorations. The breaks, the rest are very important, because in those breaks, in those pause, is when the process, everything is processing in your brain. So if we want to integrate all these discoveries, that happens when we are resting, taking a break. And also when you take a break and you go back onto your back, you can again check, compare sides. See which side feels better, feels wider, more expanded, or longer. And breathing more, feeling more alive, even in your face. If you compare the right side to the left side right now, how is it different? Can you feel how one side is vibrating more than the other one? Or is wider or longer? Or the quality of the contact with the floor? Which side is dropping into the floor more? And which side of the face also, I would say, is dropping? So here you can see, the difference. And when you have a good idea of the difference, that helps you also integrate, makes it clear for your brain. Oh, this is what I'm getting. And then you, when you're ready, you can roll on to the other side. Make yourself comfortable on that side and feel how it's different to be resting on that side. The relation to the floor, your ribs, your shoulder, your hip, joint, everything that is along the floor, your legs. How is it different? Be sure that your head is in a comfortable place so you can loosen your neck. And now, because we have been going through the whole exploration on the other side, let's do it a few times with each piece of the story on this side and sense how it is different and how the other side, the experience in the other side can teach this side to understand the organization of the movement. So let's slide the knee a couple of times forward and back to neutral. Gently. So feel that in the back of your pelvis. When you slide in your knee forward and back to neutral, what's going on in the back of your pelvis? In the upper side of the pelvis, in the back, imagine that instead of you sliding your knee forward, there would be a hand in the back of your pelvis, in the upper side, upper part, pushing you forward. And then you come back to neutral. That feeling that somebody is just with the hand gently pushing you forward and then back. And you can sense your pelvis rolling, and you can sense maybe that in the lower vertebrae. Is it easier to find your way into this movement because you explored it on the other side? Or it just feels like unhabitual instead? Because obviously you chose the other side to roll onto it for some reason. So all these questions. And next time you are in neutral, let's do with the arm, like sliding, extending the arm in front of you and sliding the hand. And again, you have a hand holding your upper ribs to help you shape this rib basket, adapt this rib basket to the movement, this flexible rib basket to the movement. And your knees are one on top of the other one. So the movement is happening from the upper part, and you can feel the twisting going down your spine, that feeling of expansion also. Traveling up your neck, your head. Is your nose going, reaching down to the floor? Your head is heavy. And once you have that piece clear, you can just come back to neutral and keep going to go backward with your shoulder. Just keep rolling backward if you feel like it, because you already have a sense of what this movement is about. And roll it backward and feel how that basket, I can see the basket molding to the movement, and how breathing is accompanying the movement. Beautiful. And again, you can roll backward from putting your attention on the shoulder, or you can roll backward because your hand is sliding backwards through the arm into the shoulder, pushing the shoulder backward. Two different perspectives. And again, you can feel expansion. There's always expansion. Every movement has always an aspect of expansion somewhere. So that's where you want to put your attention so you can inhale into that. Or exhale, releasing. Such a nice feeling. And whenever you feel like you can pose in neutral again, and go back to the knee and the hip joint, and let's go all the way backward. Just in the hip. The shoulder stays in one position, and you can rest your arm in a way, you can put your hand in front of your heart, whatever feels comfortable. So you don't have to make an effort there. Just that your shoulder is staying in one spot, and your hip joint and knee and the upper part of your pelvis in the back are being moved forward, back to neutral, backward, back to neutral. So you're rolling, and you can feel it in the floor. Feel like the weight on the other hip joint is rolling forward, and it's rolling backward. So you can use that other side, that other leg, and just roll the weight on the floor, roll the weight of that hip joint to the back of the hip joint, to the front of the hip joint. And see how when you go from this other perspective can make a difference. Because here you're using gravity to your advantage. I mean, the changing the perspective makes you more aware. And you are releasing. So it's about being gentle. It's about being caring. It's about being a loving mother to yourself. Teaching yourself how to organize lovingly, how to release safely. And next time you're in neutral, why don't you do both at the same time? Both going forward, back to neutral, and backwards. And feel how, when you go forward, the shoulder and the hip joint are coming closer in space. And when you're going backward, there's more room in between your hip joint and your shoulder. There's expansion. And then you release with the exhalation forward. Mm. And next time you're going backward, like go all the way onto your back. And you extend your legs. Ah, ah, yes. The feeling is like splotch, dropping into the floor. Dropping, dropping. Where are you dropping more? How pleasant is the breath? Just flowing, freely flowing. And moving you. How do you feel your feet and your legs on the floor? And your pelvis. And your back. And your arms. And your shoulders. And the weight of your head. And your jaw. Okay, so now that you are an expert, let's roll back onto that same side and explore the opposites. At your own, you can start like if you want to do a couple of times, just the knee going back and forth, just to remember the feeling in the spine. And then the upper part, you are sliding your hand back and forth a couple of times to feel that in your rib basket. And then you do the opposites at your own rhythm. It's your exploration of yourself and see what you want to discover or what you want to find that you discovered on the other side, and you want to bring it into this side. Mm. And releasing all these little things along the spine. Ooh, expanding, making room in between each rib and the next one. And allowing that rib basket When we go to school, we learn to call this thing a rib cage. It's very interesting. When we go to school and we learn that it's a rib cage, and we're sitting down all day and and we start like getting stressed and not breathing, and the ribs become a rib cage. So now we are coming back to our true nature, letting go of all of that right thing to do, stand straight, da da da, di di di. No, I am flowing as one because I am one in myself and I am one with life. And the more I expand, the more I express my true nature. Which is a gift for all. So this is a nice way to start the day when you're in your bed. As you're waking up, you can, reconnect with those feelings, those movements, and release whatever you were processing during the night. Okay, let's go once again onto your back for a final check in. So you can integrate those feelings. Remember how I feel now. The feedback of the floor, and also my internal sensations. Maybe there's more vital circulation. The spine is the first thing that is created in the womb, and everything comes from the spine. Everything, all the bones, all the nervous system, the digestive system, everything. So when we twist the spine like that, very gently, very lovingly, very subtle, we can go deep and, talk to all these little things that can be holding in there and say, okay, let's clear the space. It's like release, 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 release. And how's your breath now? Isn't your breath happy to breathe freely because the rib basket is more and more flexible and malleable, because your hips are more available to movement? You can breathe all the way into your pelvic floor, and the pelvis is going to be responding to that breath, which is another class. But now I would like you to bend your knees, put your feet flat on the floor under your knees, and think about which side you want to roll onto, so that you can put the other hand on your heart and have this side, the arm extended. And then just slide that hand towards the other one as the knee. All of you, you're rolling around that barrel again. Ooh, yes. And here you are. So with that same feeling, and that's going to be another class, but imagine how you can organize yourself to go from there to sitting effortlessly, like as fluid as possible. Just go from your side, from whatever side you want. And bring yourself to sitting. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay, so feel the floor with your sit bones for a moment. And bring your arms in front of you, extend it. Extend your arms in front of you and do those things are opposite, like I'm pulling you from one hand and the other one is going for. And let your head go. Let your head and your eyes go with the movement. So which way do you want to turn? If I pull you from the right hand, the left shoulder is going backward. Where do you turn your head? Yes. So keep your hands straight. Like your head is up on top of the shoulder, on top of your trunk, but you just turn into one side and turn into the other side as you bring, see how moving your shoulder, one is going backward and the other one is going forward, then my head is going that way. I can look to the side, right? So the shoulder, one shoulder goes forward, one shoulder goes backward. The arms are in front of you always. The arms are in front. Let me, I'm holding your hands. I'm holding your hands in front of you and one shoulder is going forward. Oh, I have to turn my head up. I'm holding your hands and one is going, I'm pushing on one and pulling on the other one. Two, two. So when I do that, my head follows. Oh, I can look to the side. I can look to the other side. And how far can you look to the side? Yeah, we didn't do the pre. It's nice to do the same movement before. Okay, just to give you an idea. And then from there, you can gently bring yourself to standing. You can go on all four. And from there, go up, gently go up, find your way up effortlessly. And once you're up, all the way up, bring yourself onto the real floor, outside the mat, on the floor. So you can, yes.
Standing?
Standing, yes. And feel the floor outside your mat, somewhere in the real floor, so you can feel the grounding. Make a little bit room, you know, always the feet is good to have them apart, like the distance, yeah, a little distance between your feet, because the stability is in between your feet. There's a line, that line, that middle line of yours goes all the way into the floor, and that's what brings stability. So your feet need to be apart. It's like the martial arts, you know. If your feet are together, I mean, it's easy to push you and you fall. Where if your feet are apart and your knees are ready to bend, not bending really, but so ready to jump, you know, yeah, they're ready, they're available. And then if somebody comes and push you, you're not going anywhere. You're going to be like the bamboo, you know, you're going to move like the bamboo to a side, but you're not falling. So that's the idea. The best strength is the flexibility.
So much more grounded.
Yes. Huh?
Yes. And I was able to tell the difference when when we did the one side.
Just a second, I'm going to stop the recording.
Yes.
Say goodbye to everybody and see you next time for part 2 of the freeing the spine. And here's